In today's video, I'm taking thrift store treasures and I'm giving them a bold and a patriotic makeover, perfect for celebrating all things red, white, and blue. Who says patriotic decor has to be expensive? Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel and welcome if you're new. My name's Melissa. Today is part of a collaboration where we're going to honor the spirit of the Memorial Day season, and with some thrifted treasures, a little imagination, and a lot of heart, we're going to create some beautiful items together. So let's go ahead and get started. For this project, I'm going to use this board that I thrifted, and it came from Target originally for $3. I thrifted it for either $1 or $2. I don't remember if I got it for half off, but $1 or $2 I paid for it. So I am going to paint it front and back first, and I'm going to use what I have left of this Waverly plaster. All right, I have 2 coats on the back and the sides, and I have 1 coat on the front, and I'm only going to worry about 1 coat on the front because I am going to decoupage this onto the front. And this is a page from the 2021 calendar from Dollar Tree, and I just think this is so pretty. So since this is a pretty thin paper, I've used these before and they do wrinkle up. So I'm gonna put the Mod Podge on first and then let it dry. Once I let that dry, then I'm going to use my mini heat press to adhere this to the top. So now I'm just gonna add the Mod Podge to the top and let it dry. Now that this is dry, I have my mini heat press, which just let me know that it's ready. I am going to lay this down, and I'm just gonna kind of feel around to see where I want it. I'm just going to take some parchment paper and lay it down on top, and I'm going to use my heat press to press down, and that's going to reactivate the Mod Podge to let that paper get glued down onto the board. Now I'm going to use my finger sander, and I'm going to remove the excess paper by sanding in a downward motion, and that is going to remove the paper and it's going to give it a clean finish. All right, now that I have sanded it down, sanded the sides off, I want to go ahead and go over it one more time just to make sure that anything like on the edges, like I've got a bubble right here, so anything that may not have gotten down or that may have come up because it wasn't glued right or whatever, when I sanded it, I want to make sure I get it sanded or get it adhered down. So I'm gonna go over it one more time. Then I'm gonna go back over it with a top coat of the Mod Podge to seal that in. And then I'm gonna let that dry. And actually, before I do that, before I let it, or before I seal it in, I'm gonna look where my spaces were, and I want to cut into those grooves. So I'm gonna look on here and kind of mark where that groove was, and then I'm just gonna lightly go in and cut into that groove. That way I can press down in there so that when I do the Mod Podge on the top coat, I can get that glued down as well. And when I put on this last coat of Mod Podge, I'm going in more of a crosshatch motion instead of a straight brush stroke. That way it gives it more of a painting finish than a brush finish. I have these fabrics that I got from Walmart, and I just kind of mixed. I picked some of the ones that I thought went well together. These little squares, they were like $1.57 to $1.77 each. So they're not that expensive, but I'm gonna make little strips of fabric, and I also have, that one came from this bit of canvas that I had left over from a project. But I'm gonna use some fabric strips. I'm gonna make a small little bow for the top, but I'm also going to make something for kind of like a swag, like a kind of a curtain-y kind of swag for the top. Actually, let me not get ahead of myself. I do need to go over the back of this with a finish. So I'm just gonna use the Waverly Antique Wax, or not Antique Wax, the Waverly Clear Wax. So I'm gonna put a coat of the clear wax on, and then I'm gonna use a dry shop towel to wipe back the excess. And I do want to go around the edges with this Distress ink, so I'm just going to use, this is the Vintage Photo, and I'm going to put a link to all of the products that I use in the video. I'm going to put a link to them in the description box, but I'm just going to go around the edges like this, tapping around it, just to kind of give it that vintage look or distressed look. And I did this on the front and the back. I did it on the front, let it dry, did it on the back. But after I got into doing it, I realized I wanted it to be just a little bit more. So I just added a little bit more because the paper itself actually does have some of this in it. So I just made it to where it kind of blends in with the paper. And yeah, I thought it looked really good. And while that was drying, I went ahead and started tearing the fabric into strips. And I think I tore maybe 2 or 3 strips of each fabric. I have all of these like this, and then I'm basically just gonna crisscross them like that. So let me go ahead and do that now. And this was for the bow. And when I tore the strips for this, I just tore the same side of strip, but I did it a little bit wider and then cut those into fourths. Now I tied it with a floral wire. I was gonna tie it with a fabric remnant, but it's just not, doesn't tie it tight enough. So I tied it with the floral wire, and then what you can do is you just kind of pull around on the pieces just to kind of spread them out a little bit and get them ready to add to the board. So I'm letting that ink dry around the edges. And then while that is drying, this is what it's gonna look like. And I am gonna put something, a little button or something in the middle. But while that's drying, I have my ribbon that I'm just going to lay out, and in no particular order. I'm just gonna lay it out evenly and get it ready so that I can attach it to the top before I add my bow. All right, I have it laid out, so I have it all together. So I'm going to, in the middle, I'm gonna tie it with the floral wire, and I'm just gonna twist tie it like a bread tie, like this. And then I have to wait until the board is ready to do the rest. And instead of hot gluing this to the top, I decided to staple it just so if somebody decided to use this outside, they wouldn't have to worry about the hot glue melting in the heat. So I'm stapling it in the middle, and then I'm stapling it on each end, and then the cloth or the rags on each end will hang down on the sides. All I have left to do is to hot glue the bow on the top. And then I have some buttons that I'm gonna put in the middle. I have the red one. I've already clipped the back off of this one. So I'm just gonna put the hot glue on it, place it down. And if I feel like the bow needs to be stapled in to the board, I can just lift some of these pieces of ribbon or fabric up and staple them down. But for now, I'm just hot gluing it. And then I have some white. I wish I had some blue, but I don't. But I have the white buttons for each corner. And here it is finished, Land of the Free because of the brave. And I think this project turned out really great. I think the bow turned out great. I like the fabric hanging down off the sides. You'll have to let me know what you think in the comments, and stay tuned till the end because you'll get to see the whole project. I would also like to mention our hosts for this collaboration, Lady Red Crafting, Our Gray House, and Craftastic DIYs is the guest host, and I would like to thank them for putting on this collaboration. Their channels will be listed in the description box as well as the playlist, so make sure when you're finished here that you go check out that playlist. Now on to project number 2. I found this wood block the other day at Goodwill, and red tags were 50% off, so I paid $1.50 for it. And I wasn't sure. I knew I was going to use it for, some makeover. But when I got home, I knew I had this collab coming up, and I had thrifted this pack of napkins last year actually. I went on a road trip with my cousin, and we went on a thrifting road trip, and I got these, and I, for some reason, kept thinking this truck was smaller than what it was. So when I got home, I realized that this was gonna be perfect for this. So I'm gonna use this napkin on this. After spending a couple minutes trying to get this hot glue off of the butterfly, I realized it wasn't hot glued on there. It was actually screwed on there. So I had to get my screwdriver out and unscrew the butterfly from the wood piece. So note to self in the future, investigate first. And I am not going to worry about filling this hole because I'm gonna be decoupaging over it. But I do want to paint over this, but I'm not going to give it a full coat. And I finally bought some more Waverly chalk paint and plaster. I'm just going to paint on, like I said, I'm not going to give it a full coat because I do want some of the wood to kind of show through, especially on the edges. So it's just going to be kind of like this. All right, this is a 2-ply napkin, and unfortunately there's only one image on each napkin, so that's a bummer, but I can use the stars that are around the napkin, so I will save what I don't use on this one, but I'm just gonna take this off. And then I am going to use the water and tear method to get the, just around the flag and the truck. Now I'm gonna put the napkin right here, but I'm gonna wait until the Mod Podge is dry. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the Mod Podge on, and I'm gonna go ahead and do it in that area. And I'm gonna let it dry completely. And put Mod Podge on the whole thing because I didn't want one part to have a different sheen than the other. So all of that's dry. So now I'm just going to take my image, my napkin, and place it where I want it, make sure it's straight, and I'm putting it sort of up because I'm going to wrap some twine around the bottom. So I have it where I want it. Then I'm going to lay my parchment paper over it. And then I'm going to press down, and that is going to reactivate the Mod Podge. And then it is going to be adhered to the wood. And I didn't notice this until I was doing the voiceover, but when I pulled that, it unplugged it. So you see that it looks like it's off. So it is off, but it's still hot. So it is reactivating that Mod Podge, and it is gluing this back on, or it's, reactivating the Mod Podge and getting it, put down, decoupaged down onto the wood, and everything's working fine. It's still hot, it's just not on. All right, then that's pretty straight. Then I'm just gonna go back over it with the Mod Podge, seal it in. So now I just want to go over the edges a little bit with the Distress ink, and I'm not really sure that it's going to show up too much, but I do kind of want to go over the edges. So and this is how it turned out. I think it turned out really cute. I wish it would have been a little more centered, but that's just me. But I think this turned out really cute. And it was a very easy project to make. This is something that is just very quick and very simple, but yet very, very cute. All right, now for this project, I'm gonna show you a book stack. Now, I love a good book stack, and they don't always have to be hard. This one is about as easy as they come. This, to me, is the most beautiful book stack. I am going to use old books. I have gotten to where I love thrifting old books. This one, you can see how old it is. This one comes from World's Popular Encyclopedia, 1937. Okay, and it's red. This one is, I don't think it's as old, but it was the closest I had to a cream colored book. This one is 1944, so this one's not as old, but I needed something cream, and it had blue writing. This one I thrifted for 99 cents, and it is got gold writing, which is perfect. Plus it has this red stripe on the bottom, and not sure how old this one is. Let's see, some of them I don't even know what they're about. This one is 1955, but look at the colors. So this one is gonna be so simple because it has got the colors of just a very vintage, very rustic, Americana, patriotic book stack. And I don't have to do anything to it except wrap some twine around it, and that is it. I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna style it. But those colors are perfect for a rustic Americana Patriotic riser book stack. Now let me show you how to style it. This is gonna look great on my mantle with some brass around it in front of my blue lantern. Then with that brass candle holder with the red candle, I think that's so pretty. And here it is another way with a lamp on top of it. And then I have a little bell with it with a beautiful patriotic basket that I also thrifted with some greenery in it as well. So you can see this is very versatile. But before I give you one final look at all the projects, I do want to share a Bible verse with you. And this comes from Psalms 84:11. And it says, "For the Lord God is a sun and shield. The Lord gives grace and glory. He withholds no good thing from those who walk with integrity." I hope that this verse blesses you in some way today, and I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope that my crafts today were a little bit of an inspiration to you to get you started and get you motivated for your patriotic decor. Thank you so much to our host, Lady Red Crafting, Our Gray House, and Craftastic DIYs for hosting this collaboration. Don't forget to go visit that playlist and check out all the wonderful creators that are taking part in this collaboration. And if you're new to my channel and you love this sort of content, then I would love it if you would go ahead and click that subscribe button and click the bell button so you're notified when I upload new videos. I would love for you to be a part of my YouTube family. And if you want to see more thrift makeover videos, then go ahead and check out the boxes you see on the screen right now, and I'll see you next time. Bye.